Okay, guys, we're going to start the lecture now. What I'm going to be talking about is prototyping in Figma that my best bud Leo talked about yesterday. So here we go. Okay, so a lot of you guys might ask, what is a prototype? A prototype is a working replication of a product or system that has still yet to be engineered. You can think of it as kind of a toy version of whatever you want to make. So it should show the functionality. It doesn't have to have it yet. And one of the benefits to that is that you can improve your UI through going into multiple versions of your prototype. One thing that's important about a prototype is that you get like some feedback on it, usually from your users or customers. And so this feedback would be a feedback loop. So you'll continue iterating on your prototype to make sure that it's the best version before you actually start coding. And so this process can actually help you further understand like what technical requirements there are in the project. For example, you might discover that there is, or that you have to make a carousel or a slideshow, or like something that slides across the website when you actually start working on prototyping. And you might think, oh, maybe that's outside of the scope of this project and I don't want to add that. So in prototyping, you'll have to make decisions like these. And one common misconception is that, like, although it could look like a very crude sketch, it can also look a lot like the real thing. So down here is a app that was prototyped from Figma, which is, like Leo said, the industry standard here. And you can see that you can move around, you can swipe. It almost looks like the real thing, except it just doesn't actually work. Okay, so we're going to start off prototyping in Figma. This will be kind of like an informal workshop. So no constraints here. But what you guys should do right now is to make an account on Figma. So you can go to figma.com. I'll give a few minutes for you guys to do that. And I'm not sure what the account I got, but it should be like the student one or whatever is the cheapest here. AKA free. Okay, is anyone still trying to get their account set up? Oh, okay. Oh, what? Oh, you can go like search up Figma in Google or go to like figma.com. Okay, is everyone in? Raise your hand if not. Okay, good. Okay. So what you're going to do is you'll see a screen like this. And you want to click on the new design file. And so before we begin actually working on our design file, well, right now it should look like this or this image. As an overview, all of the labeled things are what they are on the screen. So mainly we have this thing called layers, and this should be on your left sidebar, and this should be where all of the created elements are. And these are organized into frames and groups, which I'll touch on later. We also have options on the top. Right now, it should probably say untitled, but in the future, when you click on a tool, it will give you some options for the tool. And then we have the inspector on your right. It should give you some extra settings for whatever object you select. So in Figma, what we're trying to do is we're going to create elements and also frames and groups. And on your top left bar, these are the tools. The 3 hamburger icon is your menu or the Figma icon. And then in the middle is your canvas, which is what you'll be putting your elements in. Okay, so I don't actually know what the names are called, but this is what I'll call the tools. So starting from your left to your right, I'm going to call this the selector tool. You use it to select things or items. Next one is your frame. Now these are going to be kind of like the views that you see. So for example, it could be like your MacBook or your desktop or your iPhone or so on. You also have shapes, and these are used to like create some designs. You can create a rectangle or a circle or draw some lines. And then you have the draw tool. You can also draw some stuff. You have your text, which you can add text for, and then you have, well, I mainly know this for plugins. So in the future, like you can add in icons through plugins. You can also add in some other functionality, like you can add in a calendar. You can add in like a carousel slide animation. You can add in some more animations through your plugins. And then over here is your drag. I use it to drag around the canvas if it gets too big. And then I have comments, which Leo also used very briefly in his Figma demonstration. Okay, so for basics, let's go back to your screen. And what we want to do is we want to create a frame. Like I said, this could be like your MacBook or your Dell or desktop, phone, whatever. It's just a container for your elements. The shortcut is to just press F. And then on your right, you have your inspector toolbar. So if I press F over here, I'll have a bunch of options on my right, saying which frame I want to create. So I'll just choose MacBook Air for now. Click on it, and now I have my frame. Okay. And like I said, there's some preset options for the frames. There's a lot of mobile options and also desktop versions. And like for an example, we can try adding in some elements and creating a component. So let's just say that I want to create a profile for Nick. So what I want to do is I want to create something that looks like, let me see if I can go, something that looks like this. Isn't that crisp? Okay, Nick isn't paying attention. Okay, good. So to do that, I can just copy and paste any image here. You can do that with like the traditional like copy paste, Control C, Control V. And then, or you can choose whatever image you want. And initially it wouldn't look like this, so it'd probably be square. And the reason why this is a circle right now is because I already formatted it to be that. So on your right, if I click on this image, I can change its width and height over here. So I can change it to be 150 by 150 pixels. That looks better. And then how I'm able to get this to be a circle is through my border radius, which I believe we talked about that briefly. It's basically just curving the radius, or like, it's basically just making it a little bit curved on the corners. So if I made this any less, like let's say I made it like 10, it'll look like this. But right now I like a circle, so I'm going to say 75. Okay, so now I have the image, beautiful image of Nick. Now I want to make this bottom part that's under the image. Now that looks like pretty much a rectangle to me. So I'm going to click on the shapes icon and I'm going to drag to make a rectangle. Okay, and then I'm going to try to put this on top. You'll see that I can't. And how the order is based off of your left side on your layers tab. Whichever is closer to the top is on top. So I'm going to drag the image to be on top. And so now it's Happy Nick. And you can like style this however you want. Like I can make this background something else. All I have to do is click on the rectangle and then go on the fill or the fill area. And this, if I click on the color icon, I can change the color to be whatever. So I can change it to be like this or blue. And again, like you can make a bunch of stylistic choices. Like I like to round my corners, so I'll just give this rectangle a little bit of a rounded edge, or maybe like a little bit more, 10. And then now I can just create some text for my profile for Nick. So I'm gonna call him Nick plus Tal. And one thing I can do here is if I click on the text box, I can change the alignment. I can change it to the middle. And also align it like that. And I can also change the font. Now the font should have most of the fonts available in Google Fonts. So whatever, you can like scout out some fonts in Google and then just choose one over here. I can choose like this font called Lato. And I make this pretty big, 24. And then I can make another text box saying whatever he likes. So this is kind of basically like our capbook that we made, except there's a lot of user interface here, and like we don't have to type out the code. So let's make this 12-point font, and then we can say okay. So now we have Nick and his bio, and this is basically pretty much similar to this, which is great. Now, one thing is we can make this into a component. So suppose we want to create multiple of these and have this be like the default profile style for anyone's profile. We can just drag, click and drag, select the entire thing, right click, and then create components. So now we've made our components. We can like drag it up on here. one cool thing is in your assets, you'll be able to search for all of your components. So in your local components, you have one in MacBook Air, which is true, and this is your component. And to be able to make multiple instances, you can just copy and paste. So it's pretty easy. Wow, you have so many of these, and you can copy and paste some more. So yeah, that's basically how you use Figma. There's a lot of other advanced parts. For example, we can go to prototyping. And so Figma is kind of special in that it has these flows. And a flow is a network of frames and connections in a page, and it basically tells you the user's journey through the page, or its experience on the site. And so, for example, if you were on the McDonald's app for some reason and you were the user, then one flow could be you opening McDonald's, clicking on the deals because you wanted to check the deals, then clicking on a burger from the deal, going to checkout, and so on. So that journey itself can be a flow. And what we want to do here is we want to map out all of these flows. So so let's say, well, I have some pre-existing Figma content over here, and I want to create a flow. So on your right, there's this thing called prototype. It's right next to your design tab. And what you can do is you can hover over any of these boxes. So like, I guess over here, you can also do the same prototype. You can hover over the boxes and you see that there are some blue circles. And when you hover over those blue circles, there's the plus sign. So you can, or it works better if I'm over here, but let's say you want to click on family and you want that to lead you to the family page. So if I want to do that, I can click over here, add this blue icon, and then drag it to wherever I want it to lead. And then it'll automatically pop up the interaction details. Oh, it's pretty hard to see. Oh. Well, let me see if I can. Okay, I'm just gonna put this on the slides so that you guys know. It looks like this, if you guys can see it better. Okay, so then I can change how it navigates. So I can either use this or use this transition when I click, drag, hover, press, whatever, similar to JavaScript controls or JavaScript listeners. And then I can navigate to the next frame, which is called Brothers. And I can even change the animation. I can say that it dissolves. So now how I'm able to see this flow is I can go click on this top right play button. It'll lead me to another site. And so now I can interact with this however I want. Let's say I click on family. And it's cool because my mouse changes, if you can see. So it already knows. So if I click on family, then I get to dissolve and move on to this page. So that's one really good thing about Figma. You can actually animate it and animate it however you want. Make sure that the user can actually interact with this prototype. And you can do a lot of designing with Figma. I've used this a lot in the past summer and school year and stuff like that. And I've tried making some designs, albeit many different types of designs. It's very cool. I even made a house. You could do that too. So yeah, Figma is pretty powerful. A lot of UI UX designers use Figma at work, and I'd recommend you to explore it. It would be very good if you could try it out and also prototype whatever app you make in the future on this. Yeah, that's basically it for Figma.